the Equine Assistant Learning Facilitators. Tanya Durdal, she was a Program Director, Partnership for Success for Boys and Girls Club and an Equine Observer. We also have Chris Little. He's a Teen Center Director and Equine Handler. And we have Jessica Schaefer. She's a Partnership for Success Program Coordinator, School Social Worker, and an Equine Therapist as well. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to them.
Thank you for inviting us here today. I appreciate this opportunity to share what we have been doing. We started the Equine program here in Lower Brule in 2018. Sorry. In 2018, and Partnership for Success, our goal of our overall program is to support youth age 12 to 21 and their families to promote sobriety and wellness here in Lower Brule. We do that through helping each other to heal the community and maintain balance. We must involve the entire community as part of the solution, we believe. We know through research that culture is medicine, and Lakota Culture is Medicine is one of our social marketing campaigns that we have. We've identified in a needs assessment back in 2015 that culture is medicine and culture is prevention is a positive community message that both our youth and our adults could relate to. We started to strategically integrate traditional Lakota knowledge, language, history, spirituality, and worldview into programming and services to increase youth cultural connectedness. Sorry. As you see there, that is our logo, the Lakota Culture is Medicine logo that we have. We work hard to include the cultural connectedness and to create that protective factor to rally against substance abuse and suicide and to strengthen our youth's identity. Sorry. Okay.
It was 1 second.
Sorry.
It's not working as well as it would without being on presentation, I guess. Oh, here. All right. Okay, now it's still doing it. Sorry about that, guys. Is that where we're at?
Right here. Right here.
Slide. Yeah. How you been?
No, I would just want that slide. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know it. I'm sorry to hear about that and stuff. Okay.
Connections and teaching to the horse nation continues to develop with equine assisted learning. In preparation for the Equine Assisted Learning Program, Partnership for Success developed a peer-to-peer relationship with the Rosebud Sioux Tribe. We went and learned about their program, watched them implement it, and they were kind enough to share with us their curriculum, which we have since adapted to Lower Brule, and we really appreciated their input and their help. We also were able to go to a crisis to confidence training under Greg Kirsten with the OK Corral. That actually was paid for through a grant from Tribal Chairman's Health Board. And we were also able to go to Minnesota and work with Janice Bad Moccasin to learn more about the equine program that they were doing there. And then as a team went through some of the different activities and stuff that we would be presenting to our own youth. So we could bond better as a team, recognize the healing nature of the horse in our own lives, so we could present that to our kids. We're looking at continuing to build the program. We'll talk about how it started, but our goal for the program as we build is to add it into more school-based stuff within Lower Brule. also to grow it so we can continue it within the winter months, and to have it for more than just the youth, but also families, adults, and integrate it within their mental health care as well.
And so we've never had a title for our program, and so we talked to Claude Tuelk, who used to run the Circles of Care program here in Lower Brule, and he kind of walked us through a name. And so we have Shuka Wakan Sagye, which Sagye, according to Claude, I never pretend to be the expert in anything Lakota. I just translate the best I can, but is typically known as like the cane or a walking stick or something. So it's a helper. And so in this case, the horse is our helper. Like the horse does all of the magic for us. Honestly, if we didn't, we wouldn't need to be there. And the horse does, you know, such magic with the program. So we now have a title for our program.
Okay. In the summer of 2018 is when we first piloted our equine assisted learning program. We initially started with 5 youth in the Lower Brule community, 3 males and 2 females aged 11 to 15. And then in July of 2019 is when we really rolled out the program, working with more youth. We had 13 youth, 7 boys and 6 girls in total attended the summer session. It's important to note that none of these kids were legally required to attend the program or had any hold on them. They attended by choice, and we had good attendance. We've learned that mornings are not the ideal time to ask our kids to show up, but we overall had good attendance. In fact, we had one youth that attended every single program like clockwork, and at the time she wasn't she wasn't living in the community. She had moved outside of the community, but still made the effort to be here. Then I want to share a little bit about your interaction with the students and what you saw with the horses at that time.
Hello, everyone. I'm a person that needs to see results in anything that I do. So as a child, I grew up owning horses. My mother owned horses, and I was privileged to be able to ride them, but I didn't know anything beyond that. So watching this program unfold and being a horse handler, not really recognizing that I had trauma carried on into adult living. So being able to not only work with the kids, but be a witness, and even today, working with the horses, being healed myself, as well as watching the connection with these children and the things that it brings out, maybe they don't even recognize, because I was one of those people that didn't really see what I was holding in myself, and then watching the horse bring that out of me. So I've even had a fear of horse. My best friend's mom got kicked in the jaw, and it broke her jaw. She raised Arabians. I've been kicked. So for a long time, I had this fear of being kicked. So through this program that we have here in Lower Brule, that fear is gone. And I recognized it wasn't anything the horse did. These things that happened were both at people fault. So it was a wonderful experience, not only to be here and be a part of the program, but could say that I'm a witness that it truly does work. Thanks.
One of the things that amazed me with working with the horses this summer, I've been around horses on and off my whole life, and never really thought much about their story and where they came from and how that impacted how they behaved with humans and worked even together, until we brought the youth and the horses together. Once we brought them together, we found that the horses, I knew their story because a lot of the horses either helped acquire or were my own. And it was bar none, the kids would come in and they would have the opportunity to pick their horse to work with. And we never put on them who they would be working with or who they would pick for a certain activity. And their stories would match. So much is said about the horse being a mirror of the individual around them. And it was very interesting to see how the horses and the humans matched up with one another, that their stories were very similar. They'd gone through some similar things or something similar had happened to them. The other piece that was really eye-opening to me is how much a horse adapted to the individual that was with them. Some of the horses, we had tried to get to do certain activities as the adults running the program. We'd try to guarantee them and try to teach them so they would be ready for the activity, and they wouldn't do it for us. They wouldn't do certain activities for us, and the kids would get in the round pen with them and have great success, which was kind of amazing. You know, would look at them like, what, you know? So really seeing that connection and that intelligence by the horse to know what they were supposed to do for those youth, and that those youth were there to learn something, and that they needed to be there for the youth. The horses really became a major partner and therapist for those kids without really being asked. They just naturally knew how to do it. We do have external evaluators because we wanted to know what worked in our program and what didn't. We work with One Fire Associates, Dr. Jamie Bartus and Erin Thinelk, and they came down and did some focus groups with our youth. She conducted 2 focus groups, one with the young women and one with the young men. And they asked them their perspectives on their experiences over the summer. The questions included, how is culture being infused into the equine assisted learning groups? What helps you to attend the groups? How can we get your family and relatives involved? And what kinds of things can you share with us to improve the program? And would you recommend the program to your friends? 100% of the youth who participated,
It just had a mind of its own.
100% of our youth who participated responded that getting to be around the horse is what interested them in the program, which is interesting to see that response, because initially some of the kids had a lot of fear going in there, were pretty nervous, but they really grew to get a relationship with the horse. 100% of the youth responded that transportation to and from the groups helped them to attend. We went to the homes and picked up the youth, and then we would take them to the teen center, the Boys and Girls Club after, or home after, so that they didn't have to walk or find their own transportation. 90% of the youth who participated in the program would recommend it to a friend or relative, and 100% of the youth reported they would like to see even more culture being a part of the program. Our entire curriculum for our program is Lakota specific. It is also based on the Lakota values and implementing those with the equines. So we adapted, like I said, the program from Rosebud to fit Lower Brule, and then brought it down. It was a very large curriculum, and broke it down to what worked here for us in the time allotment that we had, and really focused on building the Lakota values within Lower Brule and within our youth.
Chris and I also do Lakota life skills in the high school, or middle through high school, and we really used a lot of this curriculum in the school, and it's the same message that the kids give us at the school is more culture, more culture, more culture. And so we used a lot of the same curriculum to kind of build, focusing on the Lakota values and how to incorporate those in our world.
Our last day, it is not a writing program. There was a real misinterpretation amongst the community, the kids, and even me before we trained that equine assisted learning, equine assisted therapy is not about riding the horse. It's about a relationship with the horse. It's about a lot of groundwork. It's about getting to know yourself, getting to know that animal who becomes a mirror of you. But the last day we did move into riding for the youth and invited the families down, and we had an elder come, and she was blown away. I mean, just very happy to see what had happened with her grandson, how he was interacting, the bravery he showed, as he was one that was not necessarily drawn to the horses, but had to learn about them and get there. And just the interaction between the youth too, how they started assisting each other and becoming partners and rooting for each other, as opposed to not either they didn't know each other or possibly working against each other or just ignoring one another. They became a team. So and that particular grandmother didn't have enough good to say. She really loved what she saw. And what became with that. And that's where I think it's important that if we're getting those reactions from our youth, we're getting those reactions from our elders, that we need to bring this to a greater population. I think a lot of the equine assisted learning and equine assisted therapy out there right now is focused towards youth quite a bit for multiple reasons. But I think there's some family therapy that can be done with it. There's as well as a lot of adult therapy. So it can, the reasoning that it's popular is because I think it is so successful and so non-invasive while creating a great deal of change, and it can only continue to expand. This touches on our Lakota life skills, which is also, like Jessica said, we reach into doing some of the similar curriculum and involving the equine assisted learning. And this shows that 81% of our youth reported they would recommend Lakota life skills to friends or family. Again, touching on that culture piece, that when you involve culture, it touches something inside our youth and makes them want to move forward. And then 81% of our females and males that were part of Lakota culture or this program, because they would have been part of this program too, felt that they were confident to approach a friend or family member that was concerned about suicide. And that 100% of our females reported they would assist somebody that was thinking about suicide and helping them. And 80% of our males believed that they had the knowledge after attending these two programs to assist in that area. Key themes emerged from the focus groups, including positive experiences connecting to Lakota culture and language. None of us are Lakota speakers, but we worked with Joshua Estes, who is the Lakota teacher here, and worked on integrating the words and learning how to pronounce them correctly, and worked on in our morning roundup, circle up when we worked with the kids, on having them say the words correctly. Some of the young men expressed gratitude for learning important horsemanship skills, such as catching, bridling, and leading a horse. Youth reported they increased knowledge of Lakota words and phrases, and especially the understanding of the Lakota values, which was a huge goal of the program. Both the young men and women expressed their like for Lakota horse painting and learning about the colors and designs. There's a part where they painted their horses and they learned what that meant and why it was done in a certain way and in a certain location and stuff, and how that was used in the past going into battle or hunting. You shared that they would like even more Lakota culture integrated into the program, and this could increase family relative participants as well. All but 2 youth heard about the program from the Teen Center, which is our Boys and Girls Club Teen Center, which Chris is the unit director of. The other two were referred by their grandmothers. We have family really wanting their kids to get involved. When the families started hearing about it, we started hearing from the families that they would like their children involved. The transportation was a really big deal. When we provided transportation for youth, that really overcome one of our very big barriers for both Partnership for Success and Boys and Girls Club for this program. And they want the program to occur, and they want it to occur more. They really would like to see the program during Christmas break when they're off from school and there's not a lot going on. We have kind of a 3-week break, an extended break because of the Lakota Invitational. And we are working on putting together a building to be able to do that. Do some inside work, both to take it through the winter. So hopefully that will come to fruition soon. They also suggested beginning and ending the program with a dinner to encourage family, relative involvement, as well as promote the program to peers. We did begin with a family invited dinner, which we didn't get a lot of participation in because I'm not sure if the families quite understood at first what we were doing. I'm hoping through word of mouth and through those grandmothers that were excited about the program that will grow. And we did end with the graduation where the youth attended a sit-down dinner, but we will take into consideration their guidance and invite the families as well for something. So do you guys have any questions about the program or anything you'd like to talk about?
I have a question. Thank you guys so much for presenting and sharing this with us. I was just curious about sustainability and do you look at other funding opportunities or what's helpful to sustain this amazing program?
So we had a partnership we have a Partnership for Success program. We had a 5-year grant. It was renewed last year. So we have another 4 years on the new renewal. We've also looked into other funding sources. We have some shared expenses with the Boys and Girls Club with staff being shared. And then we looked at the Native Connections grant, which we did receive, but it's unsure if that will be able to assist in this or not, because we had a broad focus. They kind of want us to narrow it, but it would be a source for a program that was looking for funding would be the Native Connections grant. Also, we have reached and applied for a CTASC grant, which has youth diversion and element to it. So those are the programs that are where we're looking for resources right now to continue the funding. Is in that area. The one thing we have found is that federal grants will not fund horses. So you need to look at either donations or somebody that would be willing to let you utilize their horse, or a special grant that would in particular focus on that. But you cannot use federal funds to build with or to the horses. So we've had to look outside the box to meet those needs. However, they have been willing to fund pretty much everything else. Jessica mentioned that Claude Two Elks was here with the Circles of Care program, and then Kylie Estes took that over, and she partnered with us and assisted us in being able to get our round pin, our tack, and all the basic stuff we needed there. The tribe itself donated us the pasture area and the water. And then we've received hay from the tribal farm program. So we reached out for donations in that area as well to be able to take care of that, hay being a huge expense that we were able to get donated last year. So those are some of the resources we look at for sustainability.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There is a question in the chat from Kathy Young.
Mhm.
It just so, oh, you got it, okay.
So what do we feel is the most significant lessons learned through this program?
Anybody?
I think one of the most significant lessons our kids learn is that with the horses being a mirror of the individual, for me, I guess I saw our kids learning this, but for me is a huge one, is how I am, is how others or the horse is going to react to me. So if I come in with a bad attitude and angry, I'm going to get that response potentially from my horse. They're going to pull back more. They're going to act a certain way. If I come in positive, willing to work, not getting frustrated, I'm going to get that same response to my horse. And I think that can be carried over into everyday life. I think that mirror effect of the horse and that it is so huge, is a really big thing that we put out there. The energy, the emotions is what we're going to get back. And then, of course, like they talked about, the Lakota values. That was such an integral part. So learning more and implementing and seeing a real life application of those values and how what the outcome of when you really apply them becomes and how positive that is.
I think the significance of this program is the recognition of their self. And with the kids and anybody, we have trauma, we have issues in life. We like to bottle them up and put them away. And I think a lot of truth came out. Most generally, the kids came, they were fearful of the animal, how big it is. They've never been that close to it. Thought they knew somewhat of it. But then the horse being who he or she is, the connection that horse made with a certain individual would bring out past trauma, hurts, feelings, different kinds of feelings, happiness, joy. So the significance of this program is allowing these kids to be open with themselves more than anything else. They don't have to connect with anybody right off, but I think there is a recognition of hey, I'm not alone, or this isn't a unique feeling or situation. So it is really, really neat to watch these kids actually reach out and say, hey, I'm scared, or hey, this happened to me, or just a breakdown of these walls. So
When Tanya mentioned about the horse and their history, there was one horse that's been like bounced from home to home, pasture to pasture, and he found that kid that's had the same life, and that was so incredible. It was incredible for her to see that too. Like she bonded with this horse, and that was her horse every time she'd pick him, and just those connections. As Tanya mentioned too, like we were like, give him a challenge, and the horses would be like, okay, whatever you want. Like they just never challenged them, which is, maybe a issue in that they didn't get worked hard, but these kids get worked hard all the time. They don't need an extra super big challenge. They got to see something in a different way. So did that answer your question? So I'm just looking, Jasmine, so I don't, if Madonna and Shannon maybe want to send out a email list, and we could just send out some information to you, Jasmine, or if you want to send us your email, we can give you some information.
Sure. We can get you in contact with where we got the curriculum from, because I'm sure they would be willing to share.
And the curriculum is really based on your area. So it's not set in stone. You adjust it to who you're working with and the atmosphere that surrounds you. Basically let the horses do it for you. It's amazing. It's amazing once you get into this, what takes place, because there's healing involved, and it's interesting to watch. So.
And our pilot year, we didn't have this curriculum yet, and it was a little bit of a mess. We were like, we don't know what we're doing, but this curriculum really helped us. It was really like, it gave us the start, the middle, the end, and it helped us because we're new to doing this all together. I haven't done equine therapy in like 7 years.
We're still adding to it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we did a training not too long ago, and we was like, hey, we can use that in our horse program. So it will always change, I think, to year by year, and the more that you gather. I have a friend in Las Vegas who purchased some land over this. He wants to do this there with adults. So it's amazing. The healing that's taken place in it, and of course you can put it to what works for you. So it's amazing.
Showing up very good.
We have adults here that want to be a part of it. So it's not just youth, adolescents. I've even had football teams and basketball teams ask if they could bring their team for team bonding or issues that they may be having internally, that they could work together. And so it's pretty amazing. And like the biggest hurdle that we had was everybody wanted it to be a riding program. See, we have a racetrack right next to our pasture, so automatically everybody wants to go racing or ride bareback, and like we've been discussing with everybody, hey, listen, this is about groundwork, this is about emotion, this is about breakthroughs and healing. So basically, we had to deal with a lot of Ricky Bobbies. If you ain't first, you're last. so it was pretty amazing. And you got to keep in mind that there's a lot of incidences that could happen. So we have to say no to a lot of things because of insurance and whatever else that may fall into that. So I'm not sure if there's any more questions.
There hasn't been any more. I have the people who have sent their emails. I wrote down your names and we'll get you.
I think there's one more question in the chat box of, I think Tanya touched on this a little bit but where you got the horses. And I know Tanya mentioned, definitely not from federal funding or anything like that. So donations or if you could talk a little bit more about that.
Sure. So the one horse was donated from a local guy that he's just awesome and believes in horses and kids and stuff. And so he gave us probably our first starter horse. And then the other horses, me and my husband have horses, so we brought some out. And then Chris had a horse, so he have his horse there. One of the things that I think is important is that, a lot of people in the community were more than willing to let us utilize their horses. The problem with that is knowing the horses. It is also the horses knowing each other is what I've since learned. I had to separate out some of my horses. I got rid of one of my mares because of how she was with one of the geldings married up to him and stuff. So really they were donated, and then they were ours. And then we had a horse that was wandering the community, and we put it in our pasture, and it hasn't left yet. So and she's really good. So we're not the people that own her know she's there and are happy to let her be there. So we're considering her a donation as well, I guess, at this point. So her time at least. So that's where our horses have come from.
I want to share that we also have a rescue horse. Also, there's many lately horses being sold very cheap and even for free. So keep your eyes out for that throughout, not just South Dakota, Nebraska. The COVID impact has a big effect on how people can have horses as far as being able to sustain them. So there's rescue horses out there. There's horses to be given to you. I guess the point that I want to make too, think about your clients. They all come from different areas, and that's how you want your horses. You don't necessarily have to have them all trained. For instance, mine, 4-year-old, he's wild. He's crazy, like a teenager. So there was a lot of connection there with the teens because they were acting the same way. You can't tell me nothing. I'm not coming to you. Catch me if you can. So that's how he is. And I'll tell you what, I can't catch him. And these kids that simply amazing. They would do the same. They would walk in. They would be able to connect with my horse, who nobody can catch, and he would walk right up to him. Then I'd get really upset. So when the kids are leaving, I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" So you want different types of horses. What you're looking for is different types of attitudes, different types of spirits. So you don't have to go with the same breed either. We have some ponies, we have some Shetlands. We move them out. We bring in more, and then of course now we have everybody knocking on the door. Use my horse. Use my horse, and we'll see how it goes. But you do want different attitudes in your horses, because you're going to have different attitudes in your clients or children or whoever's a part of the program. So
So I see a couple other questions or comments even that Kathy, that you do massage therapy for horses. That sounds pretty awesome and necessary. And then wondering about who we got certified through. So Tanya had to step out. I'm not sure if she's certified EGALA, but she's been trained. We're not certified, but we have been trained through, as Tanya said,
Okay,
Corral.
Oh.
And then Janice Bad Moccasin up in the Prior Lake area, Shakopee area. So if that answers that question. And then I've gotten the other emails that are listed below.
I will just mention that we do send out a follow-up email. This webinar was recorded, so we'll send out the recording to everyone that's here today. And we can also provide the speakers contact information if they're comfortable with that. That way, everyone that's interested in the curriculum or reaching out for more information, that you can have the speakers' information in the follow-up email.
That sounds good.
Sounds great.
Great. They was asking if you was.
Are you EGALA
Certified.
certified?
I am not EGALA certified. We all did. I actually am certified under Philip Waitman, the medicine wheel model of equine. And then we have one of the certifications that Greg Kirsten offered, but we are not EGALA. I actually went to Montana for like three or four times. It's been a few years now, and studied under Philip and Lynette Whiteman. So under the medicine wheel model.
Anything?
Any other questions?
We appreciate you very much for inviting us here today, and especially to the Tribal Chairman's Health Board for giving us the opportunity to even get started. We really appreciated that, because I know it was a little bit out of the usual in the box of what that grant was, and they were willing to give us a chance. So that is greatly appreciated. And thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Tanya and Jessica and Chris. That was such an awesome webinar and I learned a lot. Thank you for that. For everyone else, I will be sending out an evaluation link in the chat. I sent one out earlier, but I'll send out another one. If you could take that evaluation, that'd be awesome for us.